Mr. Nkosi as the red tape tsar, and many of you felt like, ooh, Wabona Ramaphosa is so scared of his ministers. Now he's creating jobs for others because he doesn't want to fire these ones. And all the English that you spoke in CPD and the everything that you said. But as I said, if you listen to the challenges that are explained by people here, they are different. Others are saying we need land, we are ready to do things, but we need access to land. Others are complaining about the rezoning costs that are there. Others are complaining about unavailability of water in order for them to be able to drive their services. Others are talking about inaccessibility towards funding. Others are talking about market. And do you believe that can be done by one department? It can never. So this is why President elevated it to the highest office to say, let there be a coordinating person in my office as the head of the state. Somebody that will make sure that works with the Department of Small Business Development, ropes in all the other stakeholders, because we are the custodians towards integration and motion of small business development as a department, but we are not the implementing of everything. So our responsibility is to say, we have small businesses in agriculture, and these are the challenges they are talking about. If it is the issue of the legislation that is prohibiting them from participating, let us review this particular clause. If we're talking about water licenses to those that have access but they don't have rights and everything, we go to the relevant department. We escalate those, we list all of those challenges that our small businesses are not able to participate meaningfully because of A, B, C, D. And Mr. Nkosi calls all of us to say, Minister Ndabeni Abrahams, your department has failed to provide funding because you're asking for the things that people don't have. I've heard others saying there's lots of red tape when you access funding. And at times, some of these things are not true. I've heard others, as I said, this is the 8th province, right? People have been saying, at CIFA, for you to access funding, we request 10% collateral. And there's no requirement like that at CIFA. If anyone is asking you for 10%, you must know it's a fraud. Come to the fore and report that person. Utapelo Morage also indicates that he had a 50,000 rands loan approved or grant from NYDA, but he was asked that he must pay 18,300 rands. Even though he has paid 18,300 rands, he still has not received 50,000. And trust me, NYDA does not ask for money before they give you money. That's the first thing I did, was as we were sitting here, I've got to talk with the relevant people. I'm confirming, because we've been saying this. I'm checking with the chair of the NYDA, and she's like, Minister, please make sure that you get his contacts so that she can tell us, or he can tell us, who has charged him that money. It's people amongst ourselves that tend to exploit our people when they are vulnerable. And this is what has made us to say, let's come engage directly. There is something wrong. That we are saying, as much as our budget is too little as the department, but we still don't spend all of it. And we know that small businesses are saying they need money. What is that we're not doing right? Why must money be returned to National Treasury? And we're complaining already that according to the research, South Africa has a gap of about 340 billion rands. A gap towards funding small businesses. And now we can't spend 2 billion, whilst we have a gap of 340. Then we said, let us focus on two things. How do we look at not only bringing information to people, but enhance our business development support? When you take an initiative as an entrepreneur, that I'm gonna go and sell apples because I want to provide for my children, or I'm going to go and fix shoes because I want to generate income, you are not thinking of opening a shoe factory. You're just doing that to respond to the immediate need, which is poverty alleviation at that moment. Now, when you grow, because many people are coming to you to buy, you then realize, oh, I can do this. But what you're lacking are the business development skills. And when you have this, as great as it is, you see the potential that you have. Many people are coming, I need more machines. Now you want to reach out to CEDA and CIFA to get more money to buy the machines. And CIFA comes with the English that they have. Hey, but oh. Babu was the whole. They speak lots of English. They are very learned people, I always tell them. You read the documents that you must fill in the form. Have you applied for CIFA? How many have applied at CIFA? Did you understand everything in the document? There's too much English. There's too much English that even myself I don't understand. And you sit down and ask yourself, what's going to happen to an ordinary person who has not gone to school but is an entrepreneur? Because entrepreneurs are not academics, which is what we ought to understand as the people that are servicing the ecosystem of small businesses. How do we make sure that a granny that is seated at home, knowing how to sew clothes, is able to apply for funding to get a machine? If you're going to bring all these big words in English and thick documents that they can. Firstly, in their areas where you reside, they don't even have internet cafes to print. They must take a taxi, 25 rands, to go and print the 30-page document. From there, they must go certify from Home Affairs or police. From there, they must go to SARS for a tax clearance certificate. From there, they must go to a municipality for a permit. I said earlier, we understand responsibility as the department responsible for small business development is to make sure that as much as we encourage you to be compliant, but we reduce the cost and time that you spend on compliance. We have since directed our agencies to develop a digital platform because we've seen during COVID, people applied for the Ramaphosa Fund from their cell phones. You know the Ramaphosa Fund? Yes. People would do, I would go to post office there and I was in communications. We're going there. No. I'm like, okay, did you get an approval? Were you notified that it must come here? Yes, no, I went to my phone. I saw that I'm approved. So I said, wow, people of South Africa are advanced. They know how to apply on their cell phones. They know how to track the process. Therefore, why don't we build on that, even for small businesses? But be language conscious, because we are taking into consideration that not everybody will understand the academic language. Therefore, it has to ensure that it has features of local languages through the deployment of artificial intelligence, what you refer to as AI from the technology side. Those that are driving cars, you have Siri in your phones, or you have a GPS, right? And then you have a lady that will scream at you, I said 10 left. Or even if you got a lift from others, that they have that. So we are saying, let's apply those tactics to say, if we are saying we have TREP, for example, TREP funding, which is a funding that is meant for township and rural enterprise program. You want to do your Chisanyama and all the programs that are listed there. You want funding for that because we do fund for those. Now, if you can speak Sepedi, but you only speak Tsonga, it should be able to translate that in Tsonga so that you can understand when you're filling in the form. We went to an extent it must have an academy, and the academy is when CEDA will be outlining their process to say, if you are filling this form, make sure that you have an ID that is certified, you have this and that, all the things that they want. But what we can never accept is a situation where we say jobs are going to be created through small businesses. But when people take an initiative by creating small businesses, you are saying, we can't fund you because you are black born. First thing, the parents went and worked somewhere. You had to go to school on loan. Okay, these ones are better because they're getting grants to go to school. You went to school, you get a loan, You come home, you're not employed, you must take your sisters, even when you get a job by the nearest restaurant or wherever, you must take others to school. You don't have time to pay back the loan. Now you're thinking that, oh, I've worked at the restaurant, therefore I can cook. Let me run a caravan. When you run a caravan, you're asking for money, and then people are saying, we can't give you money because you are blacklisted. There's something wrong with that thinking. So we said all those unnecessary red tapes we are removing. But we have a responsibility to make sure that we are able to account for the money that we are giving to you. We must prove that there is a stellar business. Stellar exists because, there's lots of ghosts here. You know ghosts? Whether you go to departments, there are people who are paid, they are not there. If you go to SASA, there are lots of people who are getting grants, but there are no kids. Even here on businesses, there's lots of things that we see happening. So as much as we want to make sure that we really eliminate some of those red tapes, we are saying at least let be evidence that we can account, because this is public funds. We should be able to account that Udada indeed had a borehole, and I always emphasize this to the team that I work with. Because people tend to think that a small business, we must only focus on hair salons, on chisanyama, on whatever other things, but they don't think that it is our business to tap into the mining industry. They don't think that it is our business to tap into the energy sector, into farming, because I tell them, for example, on farming, that the minute your produce leaves the farm, you're no longer a stakeholder of the MEs of Agriculture or Minister Togo Didis. You're now my stakeholder if you sell. Which means the people that must help you with the transportation of the produce that you are providing are people that we must be able to support. The logistical side of the ecosystem that we're operating in. Provide transportation. There's warehousing again, Dadagir. You must keep your stock somewhere as you are selling it. Again, that's another business opportunity. It doesn't mean the farmer must have all of those, but what's going to happen when it's not a harvesting period? So we've got to understand the value and supply chain of all the areas that we are operating in. If you are saying, nah, ke rata dijo, so I want a franchise from Spare, which is what people are opting for. People are owning spas, spares, and other franchise. But what our people are not looking at, who's going to provide me with the potatoes for the chips? Who's going to cut the ribs? You see the spares there the same wherever you go to. And that's a business opportunity for other people. Have you ever thought about that? So who's going to cut those ribs? Who's going to provide the piggery that must provide the spare ribs? Now, coming back to what the MEC spoke about in terms of ensuring that we really beef up the capacity of LED offices. Because if you have a municipality with no clear LED strategy, it tells you that the people are going to miss out on the opportunities. Mugoni says, these mines are yours. We're presiding over them. But what do you have from the mines? Except that they are yours, they're in your province. What else do you have from them? Of course, we're not going to go back and say the rights must be taken and the licenses from those that got. But how do we look into the value chain of the mines that are here, including the other agricultural products that are found in this province, where you are not processing? There is no market here. There's lots of avocado and other things. All of them, they go to Joburg. Do you know that? Have you observed? Then they get to Brazil and they come back and you get them expensive. Many other things that we are good in. These are the opportunities that we shouldn't all flock into catering or construction tender and all those tenders, Gamaspala, that are delaying us from making money. Because municipality and provincial government, they don't have money, you must know. Only 30%, yes, that. Only 30% is accountable from government towards the GDP. 70% lies in the private hands This is why we are saying we really have to enhance the business development skills to expose people to what they have, where they are staying. Because people think that they must all become entrepreneurs and come and fight with councillors. Hey, there's one road after 5 years. Now you're not even a civil engineer, you're still gonna go and get a civil engineer and a quantity surveyor to do the bills of quantity. You must get another person to do that. How do we make sure that we work together to help you if you have that opportunity? Another speaker stands up and says, when we go to CIFA, if we are about to get an opportunity, CIFA asks us for a letter of intent and at times a contract. By that time, the person who wants to contract you says, I can't contract you if you don't have equipment. I want evidence that if I give you this business, you'll be able to deliver on. And CIFA says something completely different. You see the contradictions I'm talking about. So this is why we are saying, let's come to the ground and try to understand so that when we make interventions and we set criterion for funding or for whatever support, it is practical. It's not assumed. It is practical that for me to go and get, they want me evidence, because if there's a letter of intent, indeed, immediately they give you CIFA must approve, because it's about empowering a small business. It's about ensuring that you will have money, because people don't have access to money, although they have opportunities at times. They don't finish their projects because there was no money. Now we can't afford a CIFA. My CIFA bosses, where are you? Now we can't afford a CIFA that says, we're going to approve an application for funding for a person who already has a contract after 6 months. This requires our mind shift. All of us, from the portfolio of small business, from yourselves as businesses, to say, we are aware that we would work to do. And you also take time to really research in the area that you're involved in. Not research academically. You do know that when you have COVID, you must steam, right? And you did not go to school to study that, right? You know that you must take a concoction of ginger, of garlic, and all of that. Use that language and the platforms that give you that information. That's all we're asking for. Use the same platforms. If you get that knowledge through people or word of mouth or on radio, on social media, do the same to type. You know, when you gossip about me, like now there's an article that myself and Kumbutso have spent 5 million or 3 million on hotels. So as you're going to go spread that, use the same energy for your business to research about that. If they spend 5 million rands over 3 years on accommodation, it means there's an opportunity for a guest house because they sleep around. Now I'm here. I'm not going to go back to Pretoria. I'm proceeding to another area. So where do you think I'm going to sleep? Who do you think is going to pay? I'm not going to pay for myself once I'm at work. Government has to pay. And then the bill will increase. I don't set up your prices for guest houses and hotels. The gradings and everything that you do, but government must pay just like we have paid that you must eat here. But I don't go out and source quotations. I just know that if you are coming here, there must be streaming services, there must be this and that, and then those that must do the work must do it. But all I'm trying to say, get the curiosity to understand your business. Those that are in the food industry, for example, I don't know if we were making what out of peanuts. There was a speaker who mentioned about planting peanuts and making things. How do we make sure that as we want the market, I like that, I think you have everything sorted in terms of the agro-processing component and the other components in your value chain. Now we're talking about market, and MEC correctly puts it here, that my predecessor, the daughter of the soil, Kumbuzo, when she was still minister of this department, had so many products that were put in the shelves. But we go beyond putting a product in the shelf. How many people have bought it? Because it can be in the shelves, but if people are not buying it, it means it's useless, because after 6 months or a particular period, they're going to remove it because it's just occupying space. Now, as Ubudi says, we want access to the market. Those are the things that then get, even if you get another company that must help you understand packaging and storage. When they put in the shelf, where do they put it? How many of you are prepared to go at Clicks and look for something that is hidden somewhere down there? You all want to look up for the product that you know. You do not support your own locally produced products because you don't know them. That's another opportunity for those that are in branding and marketing. To say, if there are these products that have been produced, how do we help them? Including us in the department and the portfolio organizations, engaging these big businesses, your SPA and others, to say, aye, man, we see the mischief. We see the mischief. You can't be saying you are putting our products in the shops, but you are hiding them from the people. And they're not even in your pamphlet. You know, there are those pamphlets when you come to a store, they will highlight, do you ever see our products in those? Okay, you must check. Now that I'm Minister of Small Business Development, I check if they said you have a product at Clicks. I check when I get into Clicks. I look at the pamphlet, or when they send to my email, I check if they've listed. If you go to At Home, for example, there's furniture there. Have you observed? Although At Home used to sell dishes, but now they're selling furniture. How many people around yourselves are making furniture, but you don't buy from them, but you go to At Home? How do we build confidence in locally produced products? It starts with you. That we're sitting here, he says they're producing peanuts, and therefore when you think about the product, you say, if I'm in the space of food or whatever, how do I source from him? Showing the confidence in our businesses. That's the only way we will be able to create the jobs. That's the only way we will transform the economy. If we're gonna run away SIFA and CEDA from giving entrepreneurs in the energy space, giving them support in terms of funding and training them when necessary, then it tells you the opportunities that Minister Mantashe is talking about are not gonna go to our small businesses. They'll go to the same hands and will come and complain. And if you, SMMEs, are not thinking as in the village that you come from and township, looking around how many households need to be electrified. Because that's the first opportunity. The problem that you see is what is a business opportunity to you. I do appreciate that we start things. At times we start because it has worked for so-and-so. So I can also get into that business. But we are about entrepreneurship. We're not about copycats who see what works for the other, because that has failed our country. Just like municipalities, provincial government, and national government, that gives businesses to the same SMMEs. That thing has not worked for us. I heard other speakers here saying, no, the people who get businesses are those that are known. And this explains why there's a disaster. But again, if as a business you're not taking any initiative, because what we are saying now, when we go and make demands for the SMME space, whether in the energy sector or municipality, when we say we want our share for small businesses should be ready to provide quality service. It's not about the size. You don't have to be big. Small businesses are not thriving because they're busy competing with each other. You've got to learn to collaborate, work together just like you do Stokvels. Stokvels, they work for our grannies and ourselves if you are not there. They work. We know in December we're not going to be buying groceries. We're not going to use, we're not going to use our salaries. We're going to go to Stokvel. If there's a funeral, we know that we have a society. Why can't we do it for business? Why don't we say there are these people that are thinking alike, just like other people who are occupying your other business sectors do? When they go and buy stock for groceries for their spaza shops, they go as a group. They have Stokvels. In my village, I've had lots of heists against them because they know on this date, those people, they gather together to contribute. Yes, in a village. I was shocked that they can be heists in a village. But because people are saying, there are those that are mischievous, that say, you take our opportunities, but they've not thought about the opportunity. Because South Africans do not see opportunities outside a tender. Some, let me not say South Africans, some. Because others are entrepreneurial, they do these things outside that. Now, how do we make sure that if you are in a particular industry, in the retail, for example, you look for other people that are selling the same thing that you are selling, you club together based on whatever contribution that you have, and then you say, let's join hands, let's go and buy so that we can negotiate for discount. And when you negotiate for discount, then, if you have contributed 10,000 rands, you're not going to get a stock of 5,000. You're going to get off 10,000 rands, depending on the contribution. When you go back to run your business that's on retail, you're able to offer discount to your customers, which is what the other people have managed to successfully do to destroy the spaza shops. Because Tina, you go as Ustela, 3,000 rands, I go and buy 3,000 rands. But others are smart, they like, I have 500, we can be 10, it's 5,000 rands, we negotiate a discount. And then we're gonna sell cheaper. So business, as I said, it requires the mind shift of how we do it now. Businesses, if you did not, it tells me that you're not gonna be successful in business this year. When we delivered the budget vote speech. Were you listening? Really? You are small businesses, but you don't care how government has plans for you to help you. All right, when we delivered our budget vote speech last week on Tuesday, we outlined that we're gonna, because we've had many people complaining about these things, we're gonna make sure that we add 80 service centers, Zgasida, in different towns where we don't have presence. This is meant to ensure that people must not travel long distances, but they can get CEDA closer. Where we have not put CEDA, I agree. Then where we have not put the service access centers, then at the LED units, we have agreed with SIFA that we're going to be looking for unemployed graduates in the field that we are doing to help boost that capacity of LED. Again, because we are one government that has adopted a district development model plan, therefore in a municipality, these services in the LED unit, they should all be available. If you want NYDA, CEDA, SIFA, NEF, they should be knowing of those. As things stand, LED officials can't explain to you what SIFA does or help you in relation to what NEF does. So we are working on that. We announced again on the budget vote, they will be looking at that. We will work with the municipalities where we are not putting service access centers to make sure that at least ease of access to information and the services is available to yourselves. And these are the things that we're doing because, as I said, we do realize that we have not invested a lot in small businesses. And the first investment that we can make is provide information. Now, if people don't have information, they're bound to shy away from opportunities because they don't know. The second issue, as I said, is the development of the digital platform, wherein you can apply. We are engaging SARS, we are engaging DTIC, we are engaging police. There's those things of clearances, and then from labor, what's the certificate called? The one that you must get from labor? There's UIF, but there's the employment thingy from UIF for those that are in the industries that hire people. So we're engaging them that at least for small businesses, let's have set aside in terms of preferences to say, if you are a small business of this category, which means in terms of the turnover, how much you make a year, at least the tax yakho shouldn't be equal to a person who makes 5 billion rands. I know SARS is already considering that. They don't just charge you tax. But we are saying, let there be an incentive, an extra incentive for small businesses, because they have to create jobs. Now, if we're going to squeeze them with all those compliances that are costly, then they're not going to be able to create jobs. We are aware that you are not compliant, which is why Some of you could not get access to the monies that were released during COVID. At some point, I saw Minister Kumbutso having to explain in Parliament out of the 500 billion, how much was accessed by small businesses. And that's talked to compliance, because when the bank set this criteria and they say we want A, B, C, D, and when our small businesses cannot meet that criteria, then they say, rejected, you can't access. So we are saying there's a need for everyone who is in the funding space for small businesses to have an understanding of the realities. But if you are SARS, for example, as they're gonna say, we want you to be tax compliant, we want you to have a permit, we want you to have this, the municipality knows how many people it has given permits to. The municipality knows how much business it has given to the people that it has given permits to, except for informal traders. The municipality ought to know that now we cannot charge so much because these businesses, we did not give an opportunity in terms of making more money. Therefore, they will not afford the license fee as much as they have to generate revenue. That's why we're talking of the alignment between Umasipala, the province, and ourselves that are coming to say, now, if you're going to say you want to make sure that I have a permit, I heard other people saying with the 560 they can't afford. I don't know which municipality is charging permit fees, because we had said until, Sandra, did we say December? December 2022. Small businesses are not paying for permit fees from last year. That's what Minister Nchaveni did. So if there's a municipality that is charging you, it means they're undermining that. And you ought to alert us so that we write to them. It's the payment break so that you can recover from COVID and the other things that have affected you until December 2022. Now, we go to SARS as you get an opportunity, you have not paid for the payment, for the permit fee. The municipality issues a business and they say, we want you to have this, we want you to have tax clearance, and you did not get business. That's why we're saying COVID has hit you hard, right? Now you didn't have time to go and pay whatever that treasurer or SARS wants. And the municipality says, for us to give you business, you must have a valid tax clearance. There's contradiction there, right? It's like we're not one government. Because you can't be asking for something and others are saying, no, we're exempting you because we understand that you are in financial distress. So we're engaging again, SARS, to say, instead of the annual tax clearance, it takes 12 months, right, before it lapses your tax clearance certificate. Why don't we increase the number depending on how much one makes as a small business? To 2 years, but these are engagements. Don't go and say, I said already it's 2 years. We are engaging with them because we are trying to do away with the red tapes that are making small businesses not to participate. They are listening, but they must come up with the best method. Just like UIF, we understand that you missed out on the UIF grant that was there because many of you do not think that you must charge people for UIF and you pay for it. And we understand because small businesses are smaller, and therefore it's a lot to pay for certain things, but it also disadvantages you. That's why we engage with the Minister of National Treasury to say, can't we look at the Employment Tax Initiative, the ETI, incentive, the ETI for small businesses. If they get to create jobs, they hire 3 people, 4 people, you pay for that, you exempt them, you give them an incentive, just like they do to big businesses. When big businesses come to invest here, they get all the incentives. But small businesses, as much as you're running your small thing, nobody, even if you have hired 2 people, nobody incentivizes. So we're saying let there be an incentive for every job created by a small business. And that incentive would mean now there's certain things you won't pay or they would have to pay for from the jobs fund. Complementing what you are doing as a small business and also addressing the issue of professionalization of small businesses, because you're not going to wake up and be an accountant because you have a business. You still need an accountant to do all that work. So we also have unemployed graduates. Minister Nzimande is stuck with lots of artisans that are not getting their certificates because they don't have experience, but at the same time, there's graduates that are not employed. So we said we want to match small businesses with those professionals, depending in which industry you are in. If you are in the agricultural space, depending on what sector, if you are in the business of cannabis, you do need somebody who will understand the health impact and other environmental issues on cannabis. I'm making an example with cannabis. I come from Bondoland, so it's our thing. You do need an agricultural economist. That small businesses help you to reduce the red tape, as I said, but also the cost towards compliance, so that you can be able to access opportunities and funding that we're talking about. So we're bringing a holistic approach in the ecosystem of a small business. See, Evan? All right. Umbrellas are not good enough for our people providing food. There's a speaker who said that they require